Thank you.
Coming up on our next segment, I have a name that is synonymous in the world of gospel music. Don Frost will be our guest. So stay tuned, and we'll be back in just a few moments. Welcome back. I promised you Don Frost. Here is Don Frost.
It's a pleasure to be here, Ralph. We already became friends.
Amen, amen. For any one of our viewers, if you've followed gospel music for any length of time, you know that the name Frost Brothers Quartet is synonymous with gospel music. Don, how does it feel to be a part of a legacy that goes back many, many years?
Well, my dad and them started to singing in 1924, and we were from Rutherford County, down in your way. Possum Trot. You know, I told you everybody laughs about that, but that's what it used to be called, Patterson Community.
Well, and if somebody is thinking geographically, that's pretty close to Eagleville,
right.
Tennessee.
It's about 5-10 minutes from there, and it's not far from Murfreesboro, right up the road. Yeah. But my dad and them started singing, and it was Roy and Roscoe and Raymond and Robert, and their dad's name was Reuben. And when they first started, they called them Reuben's Rhythm Rascals. But then they became the Frost Brothers. And so that's about all I ever knew about, was gospel music. And my dad and them, they would walk in. I've seen people start shouting when they walked in the door. I mean, it was a, call it anointing or whatever you wanted to call it. But they sang to get the word out. They never wanted anything for it. And I was raised that way. That's the way I thought it had to be. And then I started to, my mother started going to all-night singings that went with the professionals. And so, when you're a kid, you don't take your dad too seriously, I mean, I didn't go out of my way to go to a singing, although we had to go to a lot of them. But one night I was listening to the radio on WSM. I was in high school. And they introduced this group called the Blackwood Brothers. And I remember the song, Every Day'll Be Sunday by and by. It was about 53, something like that. I graduated in 53, and I couldn't believe it. I'd never heard anything like that, the professionals. So I told my mother about it. I said, I've got to go see this. So they would load up a bunch of the church ladies, and they'd take lunches with them, go to the Ryman Auditorium, and go to the all-night sing. So that night, first time I went down there, I couldn't believe it. Harmoniers come on. I said, that can't get better than that. Then the Statesmen come on. I said, can't get better than that. And then the Blackwoods come out. Greatest quartet that I ever heard. And I mean, I said, this is it. And it made, I thought that all these people had to be like Billy Graham. Or so. I mean, and so I took my brother back. He was singing country music, and I said, you got to go down and see this. So Alvin, I took him down, and before we got home, we wanted a gospel quartet. We wanted a gospel quartet. So we started one, and it was... my little brother he was 12 and a half when we decided we wanted an all-male quartet. We couldn't find a tenor. We would sing and they'd all lose their voice because we sing them so hard. So my brother said, let's try John out. Said, I don't want to make the piano player to think that we're trying to just push Frost on him, because we didn't know if it was going to be Frost Brothers then or not. So we tried him out, and it blew our piano player away. He couldn't believe it. He had played for the Tennesseans and different ones. So he started to booking us. We got the Young Frost Quartet. And the first album we did was with the Benson Company, which is big here in town. John T. Benson was a great friend of mine. And we got a Grammy nomination for that one. And, we didn't quite know what we was doing or whatever. So we started getting booked in all kind of places. We went to Toronto, Canada, sing with Lefevre's and the Stamp, all of these people. Johnny was 12 and a half. And about somewhere along about halfway after we got few of the big places that we sang, we discovered that, you know, it goes back to what I told you about my book, Silk Suits and Raggedy Underwear. Gospel music, the professional side of it, looked great on the outside. But we found out it wasn't all that good on the inside. I mean, it was, I asked Jake Hess one time, I said, Jake, does anybody, you know, I was in shock of these people. I found out about people, they said, hey, did you hear about so-and-so got saved? We're talking about a guy that had been singing for 20, got saved. Mm-hmm. You mean he was singing these songs and wasn't saved? It was hard for me to believe, you know. Mm-hmm. And so we found out that they were doing things that wasn't very Christian. And the worst part was they hated part-time groups. And we were part-time. We were singing all over the place, but it was the professional people were so tight, they wanted it all for themselves. And so you had a few groups, and we had got a Grammy nomination, had gone and sang in Toronto, Canada, and was singing Marion, Illinois, mm-hmm. where the station is, the headquarters is. We sing in Central, Illinois, Jackson, Mississippi, all these places, but they wouldn't book us in Nashville. And we lived here.
And that's because you were part-time.
Part-time.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I'll check on this. So I went up to the promoter one night and I said, I want to know why you won't book us. And he said, you're part-time? I said, we may be part-time, but bring more people by ourselves than what you got tonight. And he said, what do you mean? I said, all of your groups call us wanting to work with us. So that's what I'm saying, we can bring more people. He said, how many could you bring? I said, about 500. And he said, would you sell tickets? I said, one time. I'm not going to be your ticket seller, you know, because that's not what we're doing. So anyway, we went the first time, and we brought our 500. My mother, they were coming from out of the, you know, two on a mule, you know, out there in the country where we were from, because everybody thought you had to be on the all-night singing, even though we were singing everywhere else. And we were on television by then, you know, here in Nashville. And so we got on, and the first night that we were to all-night singing, the guy that was emceeing, he was a little arrogant, you know, kind of guy too, and then probably mad because we were there. And so he said, we're going to put you on behind the Statesman tonight. And of course, Hovey listened to Statesman. Right. Nobody could follow them. So I thought, we had a Dottie Rambo song that we were going to do, up-tempo, all four brothers by then. And I said, we're not going to do that. We're going to sing the most beautiful harmony song that we have. And so Hovey and them jumped off the stage, and they were all out in the audience, and we walked out after they got through. They had to do their encore 4 or 5 times. So we walked out on the stage and sang In the Shelter of His Arms, and the piano player hit it when we got through. We just held that note, and it was unbelievable. So we got on anytime we wanted to after that. But we got in the habit, some of the same habits the other people did. You know, we started out we were there to sing about Jesus. That's right. Yeah. The next thing you know, we fell into the same old habits that the so-called establishment were in. I don't mean all of them. As I was going to say, I asked Jake Hess one time, I said, does anybody live their life? Does anybody live the life they're singing about? And he said, let's see, there's Dad Spear. And of course, Dad Spear. And he said, then there's Dad Spear. That was all. And he laughed. He came up with the same 3 times. So we got, there was other things that happened, but we just got sick of it. And I said, we don't want to sing it no more. I don't want to hear it, and I don't want to sing about it.
Well, we're glad you came back to your first love. Now, tell us what you're doing in this season of your life.
All right. After we went out and made a lot of money, as your previous guest was talking about, a whole 5 different airplanes, all of that, and I mentioned when we were just talking, I said, you know, we still believed in Jesus, but we didn't let him interfere with the fun, you know, back then. You know how it is. And you get, a few things happened that turned me around. I started to getting this call to sing, to the best go find the best singers you never heard of. People that want to sing about gospel music because they want to reach people, souls. Right. And that's what I told my wife. I said, I'm going to go back in it. I don't know how I'm going to do it, you know, because we was all broken a 25-year-old mule by then, lost jets and everything else. So I said, but if I can't live it, I don't want to be involved in it. And so I went into it 20-something years ago, started a TV show. I got my preacher. We spent all of his money and all mine.
Don, before we're out of time, tell us about the book.
Okay. Well, it tells you about the struggles. And a lot of people have told me to you need to write a book. You need to write a book. So I did. And but it also, the last part of it is about when I started Music City Gospel and started looking for those people that were on fire for the Lord. And since that time, I have produced over 600 different artists and put them on television. And it's, you know, your director today here, he used to work, you know, we worked together and for a long, long time. But I go to a small church and I direct the choir and all of this. It's not very big. And I preach when people ask me to, you know. And it's an up-tempo type thing, and I sing the songs that go, you know. But I'm out to reach people. I put Jesus first. PJF, put Jesus first, because I've had a couple of great healings. And I'm not ashamed to ask the Lord for anything, because I do put him first. My family puts him first, and I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you that's the way it is. And when I lost two of my brothers, and then we got into where Johnny and I were the only two left. And Carl, my oldest brother, he died about a year and a half ago, something like that. And when we were there, and he had his grave out in the middle of the country under a shade tree, and I'm looking under the tent, and I never saw as many, all of our people, and I saw missionaries, preachers, all of these folks that are working for the Lord. Everybody, all my grandkids have been baptized and are working in the church some way. And I told my brother, Johnny, I said, nobody left but me and you. But I said, for an old part-time group, we didn't do too bad, did we?
Don, for more information about your book, more information for anyone wanting to know more about you and the legacy of the Frost Brothers, they can call, or they'll see the number on the screen or your website. In the meantime, let me say this as we're winding down. For those watching our program today, send your support or send your prayer requests to TCT P.O.Box 1010, Marion, Illinois, 62959. We thank you for being with us. God bless you.
Garth and Tina want you to be a partner in this ministry. Please send your best love gift today.